YouTube, we've got some NFL playoff predictions. The background will be some Madden Weekend League gameplay from this past weekend. But yes, and just to get, if you guys have never watched any of my Madden content before, I am a Chiefs fan. Maybe a little bit biased, but I do think I know a little bit about football. So we're gonna be going through each of the games, going all the way up to the Super Bowl, and yeah, I can give you guys my predictions. Let's start in the AFC. We're just gonna go through the entire AFC. So we get the AFC champion, then go to the NFC, get the NFC champion, then talk about the Super Bowl. So wildcard games. First up, we've got the Chargers versus the Jaguars. This game is in Duval. It is in Jacksonville on Saturday night, I do believe. It's not the first game, but it is the first game in the AFC. Definitely an odd matchup, I would say. Jaguars haven't been great all year. Chargers, kind of same thing. The two teams I would say are the most inconsistent probably in the entire playoffs. Both have, I would say, elite quarterbacks. Yes, I am saying Trevor Lawrence is an elite quarterback. Chargers getting healthier as the weeks go on, but Mike Williams and Bosa, I don't know if they are going to be active for this game. Just off rip, right? My initial instinct, I am gonna go with the Chargers. I know the Jaguars might have a little bit more momentum. It is at home. I think I just trust the Chargers a little bit more. They've been waiting to get to the playoffs with Herbert, and I don't think they're going to lay down when they finally get there, so I am going to take the Chargers on the road. Next up, I don't know the exact order of the games, but I'm just going to go Bengals and Ravens. Lamar Jackson, I think, has an uphill battle to play in this game. Now, if either way, Bengals are one of the best teams in the NFL. Either way, I had the Bengals winning. I don't think this game is going to be particularly close, even with Lamar Jackson. Without Lamar Jackson, it's I can't see it being remotely a game. With Lamar Jackson, if the Ravens get a lead, you could say the Bengals probably have more to lose. A lot of teams, it is a thing in the NFL in the playoffs, when you have a team like the Ravens that really does not have any expectations, you could find that the Bengals, they come out a little bit tight. I've seen it with the Chiefs over the years. They go down early to the Texans, maybe struggle a little bit against the Titans in the AFC Championship a few years ago. Teams will come out tight, and teams that really have nothing to lose will play loose and get an early lead. And while in the playoffs, the game's shortened down. And, next thing you know, Bengals are down 3 late in the fourth. But either way, yeah, I just don't think this is I know the Ravens historically have been good against Joe Burrow and against the Bengals, but I think the Bengals are one of the strongest teams in the NFL, and I can't see them losing to the Bengals at home. Next up, we have got the Dolphins versus the Bills. The Dolphins is official. Tua Tagovailoa is going to be out, so Skylar Thompson, I think that's his name, I don't know exactly, is going to be playing. And if Tua was in the game, this would have been a very, very good matchup, although Tua definitely would have been rusty. But this game is just going to be all Bills in Buffalo. Definitely an emotional game, I would still say, for the Bills. Yeah, I mean, I just can't see the Dolphins keeping up with the Bills with Skylar Thompson as their quarterback. So now we're moving on. We've got the Chiefs versus the Chargers and the Bengals versus the Bills. I'm going to start with the Chiefs and the Chargers. And as a Chiefs fan, the Chargers, while they may not look to be a great team, a Super Bowl contender team to the rest of the NFL, as a Chiefs fan, they worry me a lot. They always play us really good. I want to say it's a stupid statistic, but they've probably had a lead in the fourth quarter in our last 5 to 6 to 7 matchups. There's never really been a blowout of the Chargers as of, ever since we entered the Patty Mahomes era. There has not been a blowout. So this game is going to be close no matter what. It is going to be a one-score game going into the fourth quarter. I do trust the Chiefs. There is a different level of play I do see out of the Chiefs in the postseason. They're focused a little bit more. They do have a little bit more tricks up their sleeve. Andy Reid loves to keep little things for the playoffs. And I do think the Chiefs also are going to rely on their run game a little bit. In the Chargers, that's definitely one of their weaknesses in their defense, is the run game. Isaiah Pacheco, emerged star. And our offensive line has been getting healthier. Trey Smith now fully healthy. Joe Thuney. I think the Chiefs are going to rely on the run game a little bit more in the postseason in terms of years past. So I am going to take the Chiefs in a very close game, but the spread of this game is probably going to be 6 or 7. This is a coin flip. I probably would say 60-40 Chiefs. The Chargers just match up really, really well against my team. Next up, we've got the Bengals and the Bills. This game will be played in Buffalo. The Chiefs game, by the way, is going to be at Arrowhead. This game will be played in Buffalo. And now I've thought about this game a lot, and I am going to be taking the Bengals. I think they are the more complete team, and the big thing is a healthier team at this point of the year. The Bills secondary is very, very, very beat up. They lost Von Miller. Their defense, although statistically one of the lowest scoring defenses in the NFL. I do think it has to do, they bully a lot of the worst teams when they play elite offenses, elite quarterbacks. That secondary does tend to get exposed. They've played the Dolphins have put up yards. The Chiefs this year, although not put up points, struggled in the red zone, they put up yards against the Bills. I just trust the Bengals secondary and the Bengals defense, more importantly, a little bit. No, home field advantage, just play a little bit, but I think the Bengals, right, they're ready for this matchup. We saw sneak peek at that matchup. You know, the Bengals were humming on offense against the Bills on that Monday Night Football game. So I am going to take the Bengals. I think they are the better football team. They might be the best team in football right now, one of the healthiest teams in football. So yeah, I'm going to take the Bengals. Score-wise, I don't really know. I'm not going to predict those things, but I'm taking the Bengals over the Bills. Bills, just too many injuries this year. They probably were going to be the best team in the AFC and maybe have been my pick at the start of the year, but I just think they've had too many injuries. And Josh Allen hasn't been playing amazing football, has been turning the ball over a lot, so I'm going to take the Bengals. Now we have our matchup, rematch. Bengals are what now, 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes, the only team I think he has not beaten in the NFL that he has at least played. I think you know who I'm going to take. It's just, you know, it's hard to beat a team like the Chiefs. Now, it's hard to beat a team like the Chiefs 2 times in a row, 3 times in a row. This game will be played at Arrowhead. I just can't see Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and that Chiefs offense losing 4 times in a row to the Bengals. The Bengals are a very, very good team. This is the 2 juggernauts. I think the 2 best teams in the NFL at the current moment. I'm going to take the Chiefs. Again, I think they rely on the run game a little more. Their offense definitely played very, very well against Cincinnati in Cincy when they matched up earlier in the season. Their defense has always struggled against Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. You know, they missed a field goal to tie it up late. The Bengals scare me as a Chiefs fan. The Patrick Mahomes, for whatever reason, the Chiefs offense has struggled the most against a Bill Belichick defense, or I don't know the exact Bengals defensive coordinator's name, but they have always struggled against the Bengals. It's just what it is. That's not going to change in the game. I'm hoping the Chiefs defense is definitely progressing as the year goes on. We have a lot of young players. The Chiefs are a very young team. We have McDuffie. We have Brian Cook in the secondary. We have Karlaftis. And then offensively, a lot of our players, I know it's still late into the season, but you know, MVS, Juju, Kadarius Toney, Mecole Hardman, at all points throughout the year, these players have been injured and they're kind of collectively becoming healthier as we head into the postseason. I think that's something to say, especially in the red zone. Chiefs offense really, really struggles at times in the red zone, but having players like even Sky Moore is going to be getting healthy probably by the time the AFC Championship, if we make it, rolls around. But it is something that Mecole Hardman and Kadarius Toney have still yet to play a game together, both fully healthy. And I think those 2 players, especially in the red zone, on jet sweeps, on pre-snap motion, will really help out the run game and just make life easier for Patty in the red zone. And that's really the Chiefs' entire offense. If they struggle if they struggle in the red zone and settle for field goals, they are beatable. If the Chiefs score touchdowns at a 80% clip or better, they pretty much cannot be beat. They will score. They will get in the red zone the most. Yeah, that's my prediction. I am going to take the Chiefs, a little bit biased, but I will give credit to the Bengals. They might be the best team in football right now, but I can't see the Chiefs losing 4 times in a row to them. All right, now moving on to the NFC wildcard games. First up, we've got the Niners in Seattle at Levi's. I was going to say Candlestick Park, but in San Francisco. I don't even know if it's truly in San Francisco. Niners, it's all Niners. The Seahawks definitely have they are going to be playing loose. The Niners are 100% going to be playing tight. I could even see the Niners honestly going down early in this game. Brock Purdy, maybe a turnover on the first few drives, come out a little bit nervous. You know, he's still a rookie. It's just going to be his first playoff game. But I think the experience of the Niners is ultimately just going to outlast the Seahawks. Their defense has just been swarming in really the second half of the year. I'm going to take the Niners. I think they end up rolling through the Seahawks. Seahawks definitely been faltering as of late, but who knows? It's a divisional game. 3rd time they played this year. Anything could happen. This is the one game where I could see a major upset, but I trust Kyle Shanahan. I trust that defense more than anything, and I trust the playmakers around Brock Purdy. I'm to go with the Niners. Next up, we've got Giants and Vikings, the popular pick. For the upset pick, you would say the Giants. They are only, I think, a 3 or 4 point dog on the road in Minnesota. But I am still on the Vikings. I know the Vikings, I'm not the biggest fan of the Vikings, if I'm being honest. I don't love Kirk Cousins, but he is playing in a dome. he is, you would say, he has the advantage at quarterback. I'd say Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. I'm blinking for a second. The one thing I think I trust more and why I think the Vikings do end up winning this game is the weapons. You still have Dalvin Cook, right? The Giants have Saquon Barkley, but the Giants really have no one at receiver. I know there's been the emergence. I can't even remember his name, number 18 or 19. Taller receiver signed from the Bills practice squad, Richie James. But the Vikings have Adam Thielen. They have Justin Jefferson. And when it comes down to it, there's going to be a lot more. Run game really, doesn't really seem super productive overall in the NFL playoffs. Teams tying up, they are more physical. The run game is not, you're not just going to be running for 200 yards, 150 yards, 5 yards a carry every time. There's going to be a lot of 3rd and 5s, 3rd and 6s, and I trust the Vikings receivers to get open more than the Giants receivers. I'm taking the Vikings. Last wild card game, we've got the Bucs and the Cowboys. Again, a popular pick to take the Bucs as a slight upset, even though they are at home. They are the higher seed. And I am going to go with the Bucs. I think overall, the Cowboys are I think they are a top 3 team in the NFC. But it all comes down to the matchup. And the Cowboys this year have been more reliant on the run than ever. And the Buccaneers are about the best team in the NFL when it comes to stopping the run. Their front 7 will outmatch the Cowboys offensive line. We saw it earlier this year. The Cowboys did, get kind of flooded by the Buccaneers, although it was week 1. Buccaneers have struggled at points throughout this year. But they have vets, they have superstars. They're led by Tom Brady. And when it comes down to it, those players, those veterans, Super Bowl champions are not going to roll over at home. This is probably going to be the best game of the weekend, in my opinion. A very, very even matchup. But I'm going to take the experience of Tom Brady. I'm going to take the front 7 of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to stop the run. Lead to a lot of 3rd down and longs for Dak Prescott. I don't feel he is that comfortable in those situations. Cowboys playoff blunders, they haven't been too successful. I would almost say coaching wise, I would take, I think it's Todd Bowles is the coach for the Buccaneers. Mike McCarthy, you could say what you want about him. His teams do make the playoffs, but aren't really that successful in there. So I am going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Moving on to the divisional matchups, we've got the Buccaneers in Philadelphia. Interesting matchup. They did match up last year in the playoffs, I do believe, although that might have been the year before. Buccaneers handily beat the Eagles, but this is a new Eagles team. Maybe have the best roster in the NFL, although they are definitely injured. Now, Josh Sweat has an injury. Lane Johnson, I don't know if it's going to be fully back. And Jalen Hurts, is he fully healthy? Is that arm fully healed? I don't really know. Buccaneers definitely, if they do win that game, are going to be, either way, the Buccaneers or the Cowboys, one of those teams will be playing the Eagles. Whoever wins that game, Monday Night Football, is definitely going to be having some momentum. There is something to say about a team that does have a bye, maybe being a little bit rusty in the first half. But overall, the Eagles, they've been clicking all year. They're rostered. Now, you want to talk about a front 7 matchup. The Eagles probably the best offensive line in football, maybe the best defensive line in football, contrary to what I said about the Buccaneers. But that is going to be a war in the trenches. It's a war I think the Eagles are going to win. It also is at home. Eagles definitely have a really, really good home field advantage. I'm going to take the Eagles, but in a close one, but give me the Eagles. Next up, we've got the Vikings and the Niners. I don't believe they have met this year, although they have met in the playoffs not a few times. I think they met in the playoffs the year the Niners made the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. I want to say it was the divisional. I think they had the first seed that year, and I know they ended up winning that game because they made the Super Bowl. But this matchup, to me, is just a bad matchup for the Vikings. Their offensive line, definitely the weakest part of the Vikings, and you can say the defensive line of the Niners and defense as a whole is their strength. Nick Bosa is probably going to have 10 plus pressures, at least a sack and a half, probably a forced fumble leading to a turnover. It is, and it will be, in San Francisco, and the Vikings defense has been definitely wishy-washy. Used to be the strong point of the team with Mike Zimmer, but now you would definitely say the Vikings are a more offensive team, and I don't like the matchups. Any team that has a great front 7 has kind of bullied the Vikings. We've seen the Cowboys do it. We've seen the Eagles do it. Give me the Niners, and I am actually going to say this is going to be a little bit of a rout, but give me the San Francisco 49ers over the Vikings. Finally, we've got the NFC Championship, Niners versus Eagles. You have your top 2 seeds. This game will be played in Philadelphia. And this one is probably the hardest matchup other than the Chiefs and the Bengals for me to predict. This is a tough one. You have, maybe the best defense in the NFL versus very high-powered offense that is the Eagles. Quarterback-wise, well, I am not one to fall in love with Jalen Hurts. I would say the Eagles definitely have the quarterback matchup over the San Francisco 49ers and rookie Brock Purdy. I think the matchup here is one at a position that you might not think, and that is going to be coaching. I trust Kyle Shanahan way more than Nick Sirianni in these situations. I know Kyle Shanahan has been known of a bit of choker in the NFL playoffs, but I don't necessarily completely agree with that. A lot of his chokes, right? He gets leads, they just can't finish games. Yeah, this is going to be easily the two best teams all year in the NFC. The two best teams will be playing for the NFC title, even though it is in Philly. Brock Purdy does, I don't want to fully trust Brock Purdy, but like I said earlier in their matchups, I trust the weapons, right? You have Ayuk, you have Kittle, you have McCaffrey. This might be the healthiest Niners team we've seen over the past few years. And again, I think coaching is going to bring a lot to the table. I think almost Kyle Shanahan plays with a more loose mentality in the playoffs. You see a lot of times, right? They run a lot of trick plays, a lot of just balls on the table when it comes to the playoffs. They are not scared to lose, especially when you would consider them an underdog, like against the Cowboys last year, against the Packers last year on the road. We've seen they've been successful on the road. Give me the Niners to win the NFC. So we've got our Super Bowl matchup, a rematch of Super Bowl 54, where the Chiefs ultimately ended up beating the 49ers. They matched up early this year, although the Chiefs did play against Jimmy Garoppolo, which I would still say Jimmy Garoppolo is an upgrade to Brock Purdy, but the Niners were not really healthy. It was the first game of Christian McCaffrey. They didn't have their offense and all their pieces, coexisting fluently like we've seen this latter half of the year, although the Chiefs did not have Kadarius Toney. So that is something to say. I think also they might have had a few injuries on the defense. I don't know if L'Jarius Sneed was healthy in that game, although Frank Clark played a hell of a game against Trent Williams. I want to say it was like week 7, week 8, week 6 even, where we did, and the Chiefs played their best offensive game of the year. I am going to take the Chiefs. I think they do match up really well against the 49ers. The big weakness in the games the Chiefs always end up losing, especially in the playoffs, it usually comes down to the other team has to have a quarterback and an offense that can match the Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to put up points in the playoffs no matter what. They have Andy Reid. They're going to be dialed in. They're going to put up probably 28, 30 plus points. And I just don't know if Brock Purdy, the one thing with the Chiefs as well is the run game. Well, the run game's been okay for the Niners. I just can't, I can't see Brock Purdy, like Jimmy Garoppolo a few years ago, I can't see Brock Purdy picking apart the Chiefs secondary. The Chiefs defense has improved throughout the year. We've had a much better pass rush than years past. Chris Jones has 15 plus sacks. George Karlaftis has 6 or 7 plus sacks with a bunch of pressures. Frank Clark, even though I do not think very highly of him as a player, has played pretty good when he's been playing this year. As well as Carlos Dunlap has definitely contributed on the pass rushing side. I'm gonna take the Chiefs. I just think it's a bad match for the 49ers. I think the Eagles would match up way better against the Chiefs. I think they have more complete team. While the Niners, I said, I think match up really well against the Eagles with their coaching. This is definitely going to be a good game. Niners, Chiefs, I can easily see being the match, but I'm going to take the Chiefs. Unbiased Chiefs fans here. Not really going to give you a score, but I'm going to take the Chiefs. Second Super Bowl, second Lombardi for not only Andy Reid, but Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, those are my NFL playoff predictions. You could tell me how dumb I am, how stupid I am in the comments below. Give your reasons, though. I want to say, if you're going to call me out for a game prediction, give me your reasons why. I don't want to just say, Jaguars beat right now. I want you to give me a reason in the comments. So that's all for this video. Comment, like I said, if you have any disagreements or agreements with me. Like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new. And until next time, peace.